All right, so learning activity two. This one's super easy. It's just reflecting on the reading and major takeaways, and then methods and strategies, and what you would use in establishing the purpose in your groups. So, um, yeah, feel free to make this one brief, but um, respond and try to pull out the different things in each other's posts to get each other to dig deeper. Here's one thing I'm going to throw out there to challenge you in. When they talk about the purpose of group, they're not as good as I would hope in distinguishing the different types of groups. So see if you can figure out what type of group might be good for somebody with attachment stuff, what might be good for people who have boundaries stuff, integration stuff, and adulthood stuff. Because educational groups would be great for people with attachment because it requires minimal attachment. And they're just kind of leaning into that things might need to be different. So those would be cool. Task groups would be good for people with boundaries issues, so it keeps them on task. And then therapy groups would be good for people with integration issues. And then process groups would be good for people who have authority issues or have a tough time with intimate relationships. So I thought that'd be a cool one to maybe kick around if you guys want to kick that around. But Jacobs, so I'll review Jacobs a little bit. So Jacobs chapter 3 has some great examples of what to do and what not to do as far as establishing the purpose. So first they talk about what if the purpose isn't clear. Where we're going away from the topic that's talked about. So that applies in educational task groups. Process groups is a little different. In the first three process groups, I am always attuning and getting them to connect to each other. That's the only thing that's going on in my mind. I'm paying attention to the different dynamics, but my main focus is just to get people to see that other people are feeling the same thing or feeling similar experiences than them. So it does look a little chaotic. So I know chapter two or point number two is determine the group purpose. I would look at the purpose of the group in Prochaska's Stages of Change, where it is pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, or pre-contemplation, preparation, contemplation, action, maintenance. So basically, a different way of looking at it would be to look at what level of motivation does the group typically attract. So a DUI group would need a lot of education because they don't know that they need to change. So we have to educate them first. That's why the educational group is so big in the DUI realm. And then sometimes I'll step it more into education if we're hitting a stuck point in the group. I'll stop them and do. I'll say, hey, what do you guys think about doing just a mini didactic next time at the beginning about healthy integration, because it may be a thing that comes up where one of them is having a tough time accepting that there are less than perfect parts in the world, or I'll pull them out and help them process through that. So third one, it was kicking around the idea if each session should have a purpose. Absolutely, each session should have a purpose. Now they give some examples in there that are pretty flighty, like to have fun, yada yada. I am always thinking character. I am always thinking different level when I'm pushing in this area. So I will push them in attachment, boundaries, integration, and competence or adulthood. So that's the main purpose behind a lot of groups I run will be I want to build in one of those pieces of character. So you can look at the different educational stuff, the different lists that they have in the book, and see how they tie into the character structure. But always try to think in that realm. I think you'll get a much more rich feel from the group as you push in that area. So then, can the purpose change? Was the next part. Yeah, it can change, and it should change with the needs of the group. So at the beginning, we needed support. Now we need more expression. 5, should there be no purpose in group? Absolutely not. There should always be a purpose to the group, even if it is just to get them to connect and build attachments. If the leader is clear, it won't always be clear for the group, and that's okay. One thing that I've had happen quite a bit is that whole piece of juxtaposition where I'm thinking that I'm tracking with them and I'm helping them push into a certain area and they just can't go there yet. So even though I know where they need to go, sometimes they don't, and so I have to slow it down and back off a bit. And just attune so that they get back up to speed. So that's the bad thing about knowing a lot of this stuff is you'll have a feel for where they need to go. It's just the journey of getting there that's the tough part. So single session groups is where they end, is where I end with the notes that I took. Single session groups are actually fantastic. I've been a part of quite a bit of those. And so PTSD survivors, a lot of times you'll have people who they'll be suicide in a high school, and they'll call you in and may have you run a group. And so it's simply putting words to the emotions. That's the only ones I've run is those, or in seminars. And I've done like a 25-person process group at a seminar one time. That was fun. And that was just to show off the abilities of going after character structure and how we can create that in our communities. So yeah, so good luck. This one should be fun and easy. So try to dig in and see how it connects to the Townsend model. So push it in that area. Good job. Well, should be a good job. See ya. Bye.